started just 2 months ago today. So, learned a lot in my 2 months.
In 2 months.
Isn't that great?
It's been 2 months already?
Yeah. So just as a quick overview, one of the reasons I came out here is because I was a superintendent for 15 years of another K-8 district, and I just love K-8s. I love the idea of K-8s. You guys are one of 4 districts that go to Hartford High School. So it's just wonderful that small-time values, big-time results. You guys are right on where you should be. So I love your mission, honoring the past, embracing the future. This has been a great community for a long, long time, and it needs to continue that way. Your mission, to bring communities together to educate and inspire, I love it because that community's word is so big. Because I have a later slide. I think there's 9 different communities or townships that are 10 different communities or townships that we're talking about, and everybody has their own piece of history, and it's our job to make sure everybody's learning at the same time. So. Again, I love that. So, and I wanted to give a shout out to these 5 people. They get paid, a gazillion dollars for doing this work every month. And not only do they do this every month, but the amount of things that I've sent them through email, and discussions that they have behind the scenes. So again, I just want to publicly thank them because they are doing a great job.
Well, I want to publicly thank you because you kind of got pulled out of retirement to come here, didn't you?
I failed at retirement, yeah.
Oh,
That's what I tell my friends. So, but it's been wonderful. So with that, we're gonna start our budget hearing, and for that, I actually need the board president to call us to order and do a roll call.
Let's do it. We'll call this meeting to order, the budget hearing, annual meeting. Michelle?
Here.
Scott?
Here.
Colton? Here. Clay?
Present.
And I'm here, and let's all stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the meeting was posted properly. Who did we talk to that about?
Oh, I just don't.
Just to verify it?
Yep.
Everything was posted everywhere?
From both buildings, yes.
Purpose of this budget hearing is described in section 65.94 of the Wisconsin State Statutes. A public hearing is being held at this time in which any resident and taxpayer of the district shall have an opportunity to be heard on the 2025-2026 proposed budget. So why don't we start with the report on that budget with Mr. Larry Smalley.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for being here. I put down on number 6, open for questions and comments, but feel free to interrupt me. I should be able to at least make up an answer for you if I don't have it. But if I don't know something, I will let you know that I don't know, but I'll get back to you. So first of all, student enrollment, and I can't tell you how important this is. I'm going to talk a little bit about open enrollment later. But student enrollment is live children who live in one of our 10 communities. They sleep here. They have to have that's where kids sleep, is where they live. So if we have a child who actually lives in Hartford and comes here, or Slinger and comes here, they don't get to count on a third Friday count of students. So it's not how many kids are actually in the building, it's how many kids live in our communities who also come to this building. Pretty flat here. And I think this number is probably going to be a little bit lower than what we guessed right now for this school year. But this was still kind of a guess. The official counting date is the 3rd Friday of September and the 2nd Friday of January, and the state puts those two together, divided by 2, and that's how many kids you have. The pretty steady student membership. The reason that's important is everything I'm going to talk about the budget comes back to the state figures out you have this many kids, therefore you get this much money. And then from that much money, how much do taxpayers take? How much does the state give you? And then you get a little extra money from the feds, and then from fees and things like that. So, but 99% of our budget is either state aid or local property taxes. And it all comes back to this. So the more we grow this number, the lower property taxes go technically. So for this year, our revenue, and again, I wish I could say, hey, make $6,300,000. But that's the number that we are, and right now, we're still guessing. The final numbers come out October 15th, which is why we moved the board meeting back from October 15th to October 22nd. That's when the budget really becomes official. This is still our best guess. So we believe with our numbers that we have, that we'll have $5,854,926 in revenue. Our plan right now is to spend $5,811,864, thanks to Carrie. She's the one who puts all the numbers together. So a slight extra money in there for needs if something shows up that we don't know about. So we have a slight surplus built into the budget, which I always believe is important because we don't know what's gonna happen in January, February, or a special needs student shows up and we have to hire another person for that person. So you always want a slight surplus at the beginning, and so that's what we've built. So this is where people, and again, this is, I swear to God, the state does this to confuse people. Beginning fund balance, end fund balance, the revenues, and I'll talk a little bit about this, and I'll point out a few specific slides. So our budget, beginning fund balance, over the last couple of years, we've maintained that fund balance pretty good, 2.2 million, almost 2.2 million 2 years later. And the fund balance, I think a lot of people get this wrong. They feel like it's money sitting in a checking account somewhere. That's not true. This is total valuation of the district, and we have 2.2 million in equity, basically. It's like, if you do a home equity loan, that's what you can borrow from. So this district does not do, and it comes up later, we don't do any short-term borrowing. That's about 20% of the districts in the state of Wisconsin don't have to do short-term borrowing. In Glendale, I used to have to borrow $2.5 million in August so that I could make payroll, because we don't get money from the state until January. So our fiscal year is July 1 through June 30th, and the state is giving us half of our money. If they don't start paying you until January, you better have some set aside cash so you can do all the expenses that we have to do. So that's what the fund balance is. Revenue transfers in, local sources. This is property taxes. I'll get on people's way. We're guessing that property taxes are gonna go up again this year. At $3 million last year, $3,222,000. The main reason for that, and I'll show you right here, state sources, you used to get 2.2 million, 2 years later you're down to 1.9 million. So the state is giving you $300,000 less money. This inter-district payments, this is open enrollment. So from other districts pay us $585,000. So those are the kids who live in Hartford, who live in Slinger but come here. It's called open enrollment. Problem is we pay more out than we come in, and I'll show you that on the next slide. Other reason that this is going up, you take a look at federal sources, 277 million down to 127,000. Sorry, thousand, not million. 227,000. I wish it was a million.
Yeah.
To 127,000 minus $115,000. Well, that gets paid up for by property taxes. That's what the state says. To meet that revenue limit, that's what you have to do, either property taxes or you get money from the state or federal government. All these other sources, that's if you pay fees for your kids, things like that. Not much money, but that's a little bit. Everything adds up. Expenditures. So where do we spend our money? That $5,800,000. So again, they set this up just to confuse people. Instruction support services, non-program transactions. Why can't they speak in English? I don't know, but that's what they choose to do. So this first one, $2,468,000, is everything related to a classroom. Teacher's salary, teacher's benefits, books, curriculum, anything you can think of that's in a classroom. This library counts as a classroom. That's all of this money. Support services is everything about running the district that has nothing to do with the classroom. My salary, principal's salary, benefits, electricity, buildings and grounds. When you redid the parking lot, that's support services. Now, anything that's school related but not classroom related. And remember I talked about open enrollment, our expenses. this is what we are paying, not exactly this much, but probably 95% of it is open enrollment out. It's one of the first things I noticed when I came here. You have 44 kids open enrolled in, 81 kids open enrolled out. We need to switch that over the next year and a half. And I'm surprised, because at my 2 months, this is an unbelievable school. Now, there's reasons to open enroll kids out. If I'm a teacher at Slinger and it's just easier for me to bring my child there, makes perfect sense. But if people are open enrolling out because they're mad at us, that's a problem. We need to reach out to those people and get them to bring their kids back to school here. Because these are great schools and they should be coming here. But, 1.5 million, that's not chump change. So that's what we're paying other people to take and educate our kids.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a difference of 900 plus thousand.
Correct.
Versus what we bring in versus what we pay out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things that was increased in the state budget, because the state budget gave no new money to students who are already in your district. They did increase the amount of money you pay open enrolled out, or that people pay us open enrolled in.
I just have a question. What is the source of those funds in out or in? Isn't that state funding?
Mm-hmm. So before when I show you that the state gives us 2 million, whatever,
Right.
then they figure that out, and then they.
If a student enrolls out, some of that money follows them.
Yes.
To the other school. If they enroll in, less money comes to us than stays over there.
Correct. And what they've done is increase that amount of money that goes out. It used to be about
Oh, it is.
$7,800. It's up to over $10,000 per open enrolled student out now.
Which would come our way if the student would
Was
enroll.
coming in, correct. Does that include the statewide vouchers too?
Yes.
All right, so the other one that they've hidden between the open enrollment, part of this money is we are paying for Milwaukee voucher kids, Racine voucher kids. The state now has an open enroll, pretty much voucher to any religious school that they can sign up, and they get some of our money, even if our kids don't go there. And again, it's a really complicated formula. I don't want to get into physics here, but part of this is the state has mandated that we have to pay for voucher kids that don't even come from our district. It's not a big number yet, but it's a growing number, and it's been growing significantly each year. So for this year, next year, it's set. 2 years from now, that comes up every budget. So that's when you really want to talk to your legislators about, why are we paying for kids in Racine to go to a school in Whitewater? That makes no sense for this community, makes no sense for most communities, but that's how they paid for their voucher program. And I'm not against vouchers, I'm just telling you that's how they're paying for it.
Sort of like another tax.
It is a tax, without most people understanding. Again, this is what we published in the paper. I laughed when I had Carrie send it over to the newspaper, because we had to send it there 2 weeks ago. And I knew it wasn't gonna be 100% correct, but this is what was in the paper. And it kind of went into a little bit more details. Same numbers for the most part. That's where we grabbed our numbers. Special Projects Fund, I just want to talk a little bit about that. Not all of this, but most of this is money that was been set aside for a few years to build a playground here. And that's something we've talked about, and I've talked about, that we're gonna get excuse my language, galled down playground built, if it kills me. Or we're gonna give them money back. So that's sitting there, that's called, I think it's Fund 21. So it's just money that's been sitting there for a while, so we're gonna get a playground.
That also includes Fund 27 transfers. That
Yeah.
one did.
Debt service fund, this is great. You owe nothing. It's like you own your homes. That's one. So that's again, most districts don't have that. So, which is great. Capital Projects Fund, and this has been coming up more and more. This is your Fund 46. And as a board, you've been doing it very correctly, because you've had surpluses over the last couple of years, and we've been putting that money into Fund 46 because it counts as an expenditure for the state. So again, I don't want to get into physics, but If you spend your money, the state gives you more money. Unlike your house, when you think about, I'm gonna save this money for next year, if you save money for next year in school finance, the state takes money away from you for doing it. So you have to, Clayton used the words with me, and I don't like it, but I agree with him. You have to play the game right, school finance. And so you have been, so that's wonderful. But we got $3 million in here. This money, $120,000, is our guess on interest on that. So that's not even putting more money into it. So we've just started talking about this. We briefly mentioned it at the last B&G meeting. Next B&G meeting is October 1st. B&G, sorry, I get into lingo, buildings and grounds. We're gonna talk a little bit more about how this can be spent, because there's rules on what you can spend it on, and where should it be spent. So as a board, we're just beginning to dig into that. Other two things, and this is more for Carrie's work. So anything food service, you can't have extra money, anything it costs to feed our kids. Breakfast, lunch, bought some new equipment this year, that comes out of food service fund. And that's because it becomes an in and out at the end of the year. And community service fund, which I think, again, I don't want to get into politics, I used very liberally, not as a political term, in Glendale. But this is an additional tax. So you're being taxed only $14,000, divided by everybody, it's less than $1 per community member. Where in Glendale, which, 4 times the size, many kids had about 1,000 kids, we had about a $270,000 fund aid. And that I used to pay for all sorts of stuff out of. But again, that's a kind of a hidden tax. As Dan would say, that people don't understand it. Boards can use it to get away. This board's not doing it, so I give you guys credit for doing that. And this is what people care about. The tax levy. It is going up. And I'll show you the next slide why. If you remember from politics, 2023, that's when the governor and the legislature gave a bunch of money to public schools, and it lowered property taxes for 1 year. The last 2 years, and then the next 2 years, $0 increase to general aid to schools. So if you had to guess, property taxes are gonna go up a little bit this year. Some good news, your property values didn't go up this year. But we're talking about that. And probably for the next year also. So I wish I could tell you it wasn't gonna happen, but if I look at this projection, I think it will. Mill rate, again, it's to confuse people.
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't even put that in there.
You pay $4.21 per $1,000 of the value of your home, and again, we're guessing it's gonna be right somewhere very close to that. So if your home is worth, $1 million, you do 4.21 times 1,000, because a million is 1,000 thousands, and you figure out your taxes from that. Now, that's this school's tax, because you're a K-8 district, you also have to pay tax for the unified high school, and when you add those two together, that's kind of, if for other like Slinger, their mill rate is much higher than this, like a 4.21, that'd be great. But realize you have to add the K-12 to it, and it will come out fairly. I kind of looked at Dodge County. You guys are right in the kind of middle of tax for mill rate. And actually, Carrie updated this already, but this is here are all your towns. And the equalized value means if you add up every farm, every household, every business, this is how much they put towards the total tax. So you have $731 million of total value in this district. And each city figures out where they are, and they can't change that either. The state gives that to them. You can't, just because you live in the town of Rubicon, that's close to 40%. You're gonna pay 40% of the total cost of the district, because Rubicon is 40% of the total value of the district. This is the one that I was talking about, equalized value. Not that I'm a math major, but I want 731 divided by 470 million. Your property taxes, or your property value since 2020 is increased 64%. And we're just chatting about that. That's great. But that's also lowering how much money the state's giving you, because you guys have become a rich property value area. That doesn't mean anything to you, but that's what's causing property taxes increases. Because the richer you are, the less the state gives you. Okay, that's my soapbox presentation. Questions, comments, concerns, things the board and I should be looking at?
Good, Larry. So we wanna drive down our property tax, so everybody go like burn a car in your front yard or something? You know, let's really tank this.
Okay, without any questions, we'll just keep going. Annual meeting is state statute. We can't choose not to do this. So as a school board, we get to,
Do we want to adjourn the budget here?
oh, yes, thank you. Can I get
I make a motion to
a
adjourn the
motion
budget
to
hearing.
adjourn the budget hearing? Thank you.
Second.
I should read my own notes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
Well, let's call to order the annual meeting here.
And you do have to technically do another roll call.
Still here, Michelle?
Sure.
Scott? Colton? Clayton?
Here.
Yes.
We have done the pledge of allegiance, so I don't think we need to do that
Well,
again.
let's not just make it redundant. It's supposed to mean something. It's not just supposed to be
Correct.
rote, you
Correct.
know, so.
And then I would ask that by state statute, we need to choose and elect a chairperson.
Do we have a nomination, I suppose?
I would like to nominate Aaliyah, since she's sitting right up here in front.
Hi, sure, I accept.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're in. Do you wanna come up front and lead this meeting?
If you would like that.
I would love
Let
that,
me know.
actually.
Aaliyah gets to appoint the secretary of the annual meeting.
Somebody who looks like they're ready to take notes would be Mrs. Smitherman. Okay. Yes. You really want me to come up there?
You
Okay.
betcha.
Sounds good.
You're leading the meeting.
And I will go sit down, and I would recommend that you're more than welcome. The minutes are in everybody's packet. If you wanna read them, you can, otherwise you can say, is everybody okay with the minutes from last year?
We can waive the reading of them, can't we?
Correct.
So waive the reading of, all right. Would you guys like to waive the reading of? Okay, sounds good.
I second the motion to waive the meeting. Minutes read.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Now, Leah, this is your big moment.
Okay. Let's do it quickly. As the chairperson of the HNR School District Annual Business Meeting, you are tasked with facilitating a public vote on the following resolutions. I will take, or the appointed secretary will tally votes for each call. So as the chairperson of the Herman Neosho Rubicon School District Annual Business Meeting, I, Aaliyah Hoyts, present the following resolutions to the eligible voting public members of the Herman Neosho Rubicon School District for the 2025-2026 school year. An eligible voting public member must be 18 years of age or older, a resident within the boundaries of the Herman Neosho Rubicon School District, and must have signed into the meeting on the roster at the entrance to the meeting. Once a vote is called for, members of the eligible voting public are to respond with a raised hand for yea, approving the resolution, or nay for denying the resolution. So resolution 1, be it resolved by the electors of the Herman Neosho Rubicon School District pursuant to section 120.10 subsection 8 of Wisconsin statutes, that the tax levy for the 2025-2026 school year shall be set at $3,078,929. All in favor, state yea and raise your hand for a counted vote.
This is all of them, yes.
Mrs. Smithman, I'm raising my hand as well. And the recorded vote is,
Well, we have to do nay first. Any nays?
all opposed, state nay, and raise your hand for a voted count. Resolution 2, be it resolved by the electors of the Herman Neosha Rubicon School Board or School District that the school board of the district is hereby authorized to borrow money for the immediate expenses of maintaining the school district under section 67.12 subsection 8.8A of the Wisconsin statutes.
So,
All-
before you say, just so you know what this means, tornado comes through and wipes out this, we don't have enough money in our fund balance to rebuild the school. You give them permission that they would have to borrow money to fix the school.
All in favor state yea and raise your hand for a counted vote.
Yay.
Got it? All opposed state nay and raise your hand for a counted vote. Okay, resolution 3. Be it resolved by the electors of the Herman Neosha Rubicon School District pursuant to section 120.10 subsection 4 of the Wisconsin statutes that the school board is hereby authorized to provide for prosecution and defense of any legal action or proceeding in which the district is involved during the 2025-2026 school year. All in favor state yea and raise your hand for a counted vote.
Yay. Yay.
Okay. All opposed state nay and raise your hand for a counted vote. Resolution 4, be it resolved by the electors of the Herman Neosha Rubicon School District pursuant to section 120.10 subsection 12 of the Wisconsin statutes that the school board is hereby authorized to sell any equipment or property belonging to and not needed by the school district. All in favor state yea and raise your hand for a counted vote.
Yay. Yay.
Got it. All opposed, state nay and raise your hand for a counted vote. Resolution 5. Be it
I might have been off on the $1 million that the board gets paid. Sorry.
Good to know, noted. Resolution 5, be it resolved by the electors of the Herman Neosha Rubicon School District pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 120.10 subsection 3, that the salaries of the school board members for the 2025-2026 school year be $1,500 per member and $2,000 to the school board president.
Is this an increase?
No,
No.
This is what they were paid last year?
correct.
All in favor state yea and raise your hand for a counted vote. Okay. All opposed state nay and raise your hand for a counted vote.
Yay. I abstain. I abstain. Abstain.
Resolution 6. Be it resolved by the electors of the Herman Neosha Rubicon School District pursuant to section 120.08 subsection 1 of the Wisconsin statutes that the school board is hereby authorized to establish the date, and hour of the annual meeting to be held between May 15th, 2026 and October 31st, 2026. All in favor state yea and raise your hand for a counted vote.
Yay.
Okay. All opposed state nay and raise your hand for a counted vote. All right.
Great job, Leah.
Would you like me to go through the approved resolutions and denied resolutions?
You do it very quickly if you've all been approved.
Okay, so, all the resolutions have been approved for record.
And then a motion to end the annual meeting. Unless there's, well, first of all, any questions first? Thank you for your participation, and I ask for a motion to.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 No ayes over here?
You're part of the meeting.
Carrie, you just have that one part, I did the rest, done for the minutes.
Perfect.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Well, seeing the hour is 6:30, we will call the regular board meeting of the Honor School District Board of Education to order. Have your agenda. Second by Feinstein. Thank you. And this meeting, roll call, everybody's here yet? Okay.
Thank you. Carter.
Everybody still have the Pledge of Allegiance in their heart? We did that? Very good. You know, it's important. There's so much stuff going on in this country. I mean, we need to get allegiance there. Yes. Statement of purpose. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purposes of conducting the school district's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. And, meeting was noticed properly.
It has been.
It has been. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Jenny and Brittany.
Good deal. I didn't receive any public comment cards. I assume that there is no public comment.
Huh? Yes?
Do we have one? Okay.
Oh, hold on.
Ha
Oh.
She's like,
You can, no, I got a
I
spec.
will officially receive it.
I'm sorry we went and missed that.
Okay.
thank you.
There are too many other meetings.
All right, just, your turn. Go ahead.
Thank you. On Saturday, I attended an internet safety program at Slinger High School. It was put on by the Washington County Anti-Trafficking Advocates. It was extremely informational. It was 3 hours long, and they had all kinds of things there. They had a dog that can detect electronic devices, no matter how small, no matter if they're buried 10 feet underground or hidden anywhere, you know, for the sex traffickers and the porn people and all of that. So they did a demonstration on that. They had a wonderful family called the Weingolds from Oconto, whose son Landon was part of a sextortion scam and committed suicide. And they've made it their goal to get through their suffering by going around and making sure no other families have to go through what they had to go through and try to wake everybody up to what's really going on. The police department was there and, you know, all of the other departments that were there. I gathered you all kinds of information for the PTO and for you, because I think this is something that, at the very least, the intermediate kids should be aware of. Wendy Smith is the head of the Washington County Anti-Trafficking Group, and she's the one who did the program. This is her passion project, and she did a phenomenal job. Her card, all the information is in here for you guys to pass around and to look at. Most of the things have QR codes that you can scan. It'll take you to the websites. It'll, you know what I mean, and give you all of the details. She also does have a shortened program that you can get on a drive. You know what I mean? If you want to sit down as a group and view it, you know, before you do it. There's some posters in here. There's all kinds of information on how to prevent mainly the apps that have chat rooms in them, how you can stop that from the creepers getting into your kids, what you know, how you can go to those apps, shut down that stuff to prevent all of it from happening. Like I said, it was very educational and really phenomenal, and I think that the district and all districts really would benefit from this. Wendy travels around to all different groups. She goes to Milwaukee, she does all schools, churches, anybody who will listen, you know what I mean, she'll talk. None of you will be subjected to a 3-hour presentation, you know what I mean, it'll be shorter because she won't have, you know, all the other people there that you could interact with. But I really think that this is.
Would you like to just leave the information with our administrator?
Sure.
I think this
I
is something,
appreciate that.
Her card is in there, yes.
no, I talked to her last spring.
Oh, you
and
did?
because she was so busy, we were gonna discuss doing something at the intermediate this year.
Oh,
So when you
wonderful.
said her name, I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
I have her
great.
little card next to my
Oh, I hope you
computer.
do. Like I
Yes,
said,
I know, I've heard many
it
good
was
things
really
from her
wonderful.
presentation.
So, well, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move right along then to the school board minutes of last month. Everybody have a chance to look through that? Any changes needed? Everything's okay on there? And then we have, excuse me, the minutes from the building and grounds meeting. Everything looked accurate there. I couldn't make that one. Looks okay. Vouchers, you had a chance to look through all those? Nothing, okay. And then we have the treasurer's report. Anything new you'd like to tell us here, Colton, or?
No, we're beginning of the year yet, I mean.
Yeah.
A couple months into the fiscal year, I guess, but nothing, Larry pretty much covered everything with his report.
Right.
Going forward in October when everything's finalized and we'll have real numbers, I guess.
All right, very good. Then we have the expense report that was in the packet. Everything look all right, no questions about anything there? And the revenue report, which isn't a lot right now, but that'll be coming too. So if there's no discussion on that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. We'll move on to items for discussion, discuss and take possible action on the building and grounds recommendations on the following. Elementary building. Scott, would you like to say a little bit on this, since you're the chairman of that committee, what you're thinking of here?
I can do that.
Well, thank you.
Here at the elementary school, there's a set of bathrooms that don't have exhaust fan, doesn't have an exhaust fan. The housing and everything is on the roof, but when the mechanical contractor went to service it, it was an empty housing. There's no fan, no motor, or nothing there.
Saves energy, huh?
Yeah, it's high efficiency exhaust fan. So at the building and grounds meeting I think that was last month, it was brought to our attention, and we feel that it's a good idea to have exhaust in the bathrooms. So that's where we are with that.
So you had a quote for 3,800, you say here?
Chad Yeah, Chad got a quote, I believe it was from, Zone Mechanical. Zone Mechanical is who does our HVAC and mechanical work. So that's a quote from them to install a fan.
Fan into housing.
Motor and.
Does anything have to be changed, or can you just put a fan in? Does he say?
Well, I don't have maybe I have it.
It seemed like a pretty simple job, though.
It should be as long as they get the correct voltage.
Sure. What does the board think about this?
I think it's a good idea to have.
And also just to add kind of to that, we talked about it during the Building and Grounds Committee meeting. We brought in zone, or I should say, we had discussed earlier, I believe it was February, about having the buildings inspected by a good once over to find out the deficiencies, and the list that we have here is that. From that inspection. So, there seems like a lot, but that was because this is the first time we've gone through the buildings. Had someone come in and actually do an inspection and found some, like, somebody removed the fan, never put one back. Things like that, so, just that's more of a, kind of just so everyone knows.
We weren't just making up like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's some expenditures for the HVAC controls. We do have an old HVAC control system. The way it is right now, if it would fail, it would cost us much more to get it back up and going than it would be to spend this money.
Well, the controls are sort of your forte, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes.
So you understand all that.
Yeah. Yep. And the boiler maintenance, I believe, from what I remember correctly, without looking at any paperwork, when they did the last inspection, they found some parts that need to be replaced. And it's a very good idea to keep boilers maintained. If you don't maintain them, your repair costs can skyrocket. And put in a new boiler is probably $70,000-$80,000.
Was this what you were talking about, where the two units aren't talking to each other or something? Is that something different?
Yeah.
This is what this is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are all four of these items by the same vendor?
This is all supposed to be through, Zone Mechanical.
The discussion included, it's kinda like making sure you do an oil change in your car. Because if you choose not to, your car will keep going until it doesn't. And then it's much more expensive to replace an engine than it is to do, 6,000 mile or 5,000 mile oil changes. And this is all maintenance that should have been going on, that we are just realizing wasn't. And there's multiple reasons for that. So now our job is to get back on track so that the buildings are up and at peak condition.
I see we do a lot with Zone Mechanical. Is there a reason they're just very dependable and reasonably priced, or I haven't been here that long to know?
I don't know why it's just Zone.
Yeah, and they have members in the district. I think there's ease of availability, I think, is the reasoning.
They seem to be real.
They're family of us, so they're giving us their best price.
Okay.
And I did ask Chad to request more detailed quotes that come from Zone Mechanical
Going forward, we will do that.
going forward.
Right.
Like, item number 2, replace the rooftop AC circuit board. Well, there's multiple boards in there.
So if
but
we
you
have
wanna
those
know-
notes, we'll know what was changed and what wasn't. It'll be easier to go and say yes, no, maybe so.
Well, then you can come along and say, well, why have you replaced that same board 5 times?
Sure.
it too is to get a relationship with one company versus, you know, we can jump around and get a million quotes from a lot of companies, but in essence, we're gonna be paying for each company to relearn our system every time they come out. So,
Yep, relearn the system.
I mean, this is a
relearn
lot
the
of money
buildings.
here, it's ridiculous in my opinion, but, I guarantee it's not out of line by no means, unfortunately.
So is this all being qualified on Fund 46 for school building repairs and things?
I believe so. We were just digging into that, so I'd have to dig into what you just were given, the 10-year capital improvement plan. I think as we dig into that, I think almost, I think we can get it into Fund 46.
Yeah, it seemed like as I read through it, leave it there. That's fine. Seemed as I read through it, it all kind of fits in there somewhere, thank you. Because basing these repairs and funding them with Fund 46 will help us in our budget too. Because money's there for these repairs and we don't have to pay it out of other funds. So how would the board like to handle this, these repairs that we just went through? One at a time, or a whole package?
My personal feeling is after sitting through the buildings and grounds meeting, I agree with Colton, it's a lot of money, but I also agree this is the first time this stuff's been looked at in a while, so that's kind of to be expected.
Right.
And that we should do it, and, because this is what maintenance looks like. And if we can fund it out of Fund 46, we should. That's
So
what that
you,
money's there for.
Turning that into a motion for us?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve, the recommendations of the Building and Grounds Committee, items totaling the numbers on this page. I'm not sure why the items are listed 1, 2, and then 1, 2 again.
Different buildings.
Oh, right, thank you. I move to approve items 1 and 2 for the elementary and items 1 and 2 for the intermediate, and that if possible, those funds to be paid for out of Fund 46.
Nice second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will move forward with that to, I guess Chad, you'll sort of contact them and say we want to go ahead with this then?
Yeah, I'll touch base with Larry and get something together.
Yep, and then we'll just follow through on this.
Yep.
And then,
Get this going, and we can give a report out on October 1st at the next meeting.
Sure.
All right?
Right. And what'll happen is it'll come out and go back.
Well, let's look at point B, discuss and take possible action on an intergovernmental agreement, alternative placement options. What is that about? Who knows about that?
That's me.
That's you, okay.
Yeah, basically, this is an agreement with the Kiel School District, and their, alternative school, which is virtual. In case, and last year we did not use them, we've had this agreement with Kiel, I've gone back and looked, you've had this agreement with Kiel for several years. It's a virtual school for students who might not be welcomed in our buildings if they did something drastically wrong, but you still are required to educate them by law. And so it's a virtual school, so we'd be able to use Kiel as a virtual school with this agreement. Because even if you choose to ask a student not to come to school because they've done a criminal offense, you are still required to educate them by law. And
I
so-
think after COVID, the state mandated to have a virtual option
Yes.
too, so that's kind of, Keel has it set up, we pay them a little bit of money, and we don't have to set one up ourselves.
What's even nicer is you don't even have to pay them. If you, last year, we didn't pay them a cent because we didn't send any kids there.
So it's as needed?
It's as needed.
Okay.
So it's a very well-written 660301 agreement.
If we do send a student to this, what is the cost of that to the district?
It is a max cost of $8,000, I remember, but it would be prorated, so it depends on how long they are there.
So basically, we do have we'll have enough funding that comes with the associated student to cover if this were to happen.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm asking. I wanted to make sure it's not like, if we send a kid to this, it's a $45,000 expense and we only have $5,000 for that particular student.
It's actually 55 for a regular student, 8,000 for a special ed
Okay.
student.
Okay, so we're,
Thank you.
all right. Just curious.
Let's see, we need a motion on this? Yes, I think we probably should every year.
Yep.
All right.
I make a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement 66.03.01 alternative placement option with Keel.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's in place. Discussion on the role and responsibilities of district committee meetings.
Can I just quickly start out, cue this up?
Sure.
Dan and I had this discussion after the last, building and ground committee, and I put it on there as district committee meetings. I'm not sure if we will go back to it. At one time, this school district used to use a lot of committees, and then over time, it didn't use committees very much. I'm not sure where we're gonna end up. But I, talking with Dan, our last B&G meeting was wonderful. After we adjourned, discussion started going on, and so Dan and I were talking about, just what are the roles and responsibilities, because if you remember at the very beginning of the B&G meeting, and committee meetings are specifically set up by some state regulations that there is no official business can happen there. It can just be discussion. So like here, I put down, discuss and take possible action. Only the full school board can take action. Committees can't do that on their own. So Dan wanted us to clarify and make sure that everybody is on the same page. That's my introduction, Dan. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I guess it was sort of a little unclear on what is the Building and Grounds Committee responsible for and what isn't it responsible for. And there's a state statute, 120.12.5, that I believe that zeroes in on what the Building and Grounds Committee really is here for in assistance to us as a board. And it's basically, it's repair of school buildings. It says, keep the school buildings and grounds in good repair, suitably equipped, and in safe and sanitary conditions at all times. The school board shall establish an annual building maintenance schedule. That's in the state law. So I was thinking that is a perfect directive for the Building and Grounds Committee. Always keep an eye on the buildings and the grounds, keep it safe, keep them in good repair, because it's been neglected in the past few years, and we want to bring that all back up to speed again. Aside from that, I don't think the Building and Grounds Committee needs to discuss anything, because anything aside from that would be more board-oriented discussion. Just want to throw it out there to see what you all think.
My thoughts on it are that I agree that that should be under the purview of the Building and Grounds Committee. However, we have a lot of very knowledgeable resources in the community. I think that discussion on basic buildings and ground maintenance, as well as possible direction, because again, the reason for the committee is to engage the community and use that expertise, use that wealth of knowledge as best we can. And they are still only, anything that comes out of that committee meeting is still only a recommendation to the board. It doesn't take anything away from what the board is able to do or say. What comes out of that meeting is just discussion. So I agree with, the statute and, that is needed. But I also agree that any discussion that comes from those meetings is simply that, a community-involved discussion and a recommendation to the board that the board either has to approve or deny in the end anyway. And it's one thing for myself that I like about it is, and I'm speaking just for myself here, is it is a point of view, I get a lot of points of view that I don't have. So it sparks a lot of thought, and I come up with more questions than I went there with, which is a good thing. And so personally, that's what I think those committee meetings should be for. And I hope everybody just kind of kept up the nonsensical ramblings of that, but that's my 2 cents on the matter.
I'd like to see a little more of a line of a division and separation there, because if we keep all the buildings and grounds in good repair, we'll see what type of repairs are necessary and what we're spending money on. And as a board, we can see, well, this is happening and this is happening, well, maybe it's time to do something about this. And at that point in time, if the board desires, then when they're ready to talk to and make it a public issue, they will say, here's what we have found as a board, here's what has been brought to our attention. And now, after we have chewed our cud a little bit, we can say, well, let's bring some public input in also and see what we can do, because it's never gonna be a fast turnaround thing. It's just, I believe, a distraction from just, let's take care of our property. And past that, that's falling onto board responsibilities again. But the board has the committee to see what is it taking here, and maybe we should do something about this. Maybe we need to act upon this in some way. That shouldn't start in the committee. It should start at the board level, is what I.
But then it's still the 5 of us running everything. We're still the ones suggesting the direction for the committee and only what the committee can discuss. So it's still the 5 of us making all decisions.
Well, the committee's there for building and grounds. That's what I'm saying. And then, when we open it up to more, the committee can be a part of that too. I mean, it's not that we're cutting anybody out, it's just, I think it's being brought in too soon, that we have to zero in on what we can do right now here and what our priorities are. I mean, personally, just speaking for myself, I would love to see student, what is the word, proficiency. I would love to see the proficiency of students in our in K through 8 go up 20 points. That is more important to me than anything that's past keeping our buildings going, because that's where the true value is in our district, is student proficiency. And I personally have looked at some of the public information out there about our schools. I'm not pleased with it personally. I would like to see it go up at least 20 points this year. I believe we can all work together to do that, but it's gonna be hard to work together if we're being pulled a couple different directions. Do we want this? Do we want that? But when we say, no, we're gonna fix these buildings, we're gonna keep them going, because as we saw, they're all paid for, our house is paid for. Let's just keep this going, and in the next few years, let's see if we can raise that proficiency level up where it belongs, I feel.
I mean, we just spent $20,000 on AC repair between both buildings. We all know what we're talking about. We're talking about a single site here and distraction of it, I guess. You know, whether or not, then we need to bring it on the board agenda. We need to start, you know, hashing that out, because it does take time. You know, and at the end of the day, there's a shortage of teachers in the state, and we're all the districts, we're all fighting for the same pool of teachers, essentially. Every year we're losing and gaining, you know, it's just a game of it. I'm not, you know, I don't wanna pay teachers exorbitant amounts, you know, I'm a fiscal conservative guy, but it's supply and demand, it's just what it is. So I mean, if we're wasting money on unnecessary repairs or reciprocal or duplicate repairs that we could be saving, we could put more money in the classroom, and not necessarily in teachers' pockets or however you wanna phrase it, but it's all part of the same thing, I guess. Then I would just like to see it on a board agenda item if that's what we have to do with it, so we can discuss it properly, I guess.
All right, well, let's stick to this building grounds thing then. Would we be in agreement then to just keep the building and ground meetings to maintenance of building and grounds with the, with the knowledge that on the next meeting we'll have it on an agenda that we'll talk about this?
Yeah,
We'll
that,
have to-
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
whatever, yeah, I
So,
mean,
why don't
just
we-
that we talk about it at some point in time, but you know,
Right.
If we have to
first
put
it
it on
was
the
the board is railroading something and there's no discussion, and then also there's a building and grounds committee, and then we can't talk about it there, so I don't know.
We have to have somewhere to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right, so why don't, if that's okay with everybody, let's just keep those lines of separation, just because it makes everything cleaner. And we don't get any wild stories going all over the place too. And let's have a meeting, we'll just have a point of discussion on the agenda.
Yeah, and
Let's see.
anybody's free to
Well,
comment
there's
on it.
public comment
Yeah,
at meetings,
I mean,
you know, and that's how it can sort of begin, and we can bring perspectives.
it's always
in
been
there.
that way.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we're not gonna be a board that stifles any kind of conversation, that we're not going to be.
Right.
So, getting back to this, what about the building grounds? Is that okay with the building grounds committee if we just stick totally to just building grounds maintenance and safety? And then there's the annual building maintenance schedule. Do we have an annual building maintenance schedule? Chad?
I'm looking at you.
Do we have an annual building maintenance schedule?
I don't believe we have in the past.
Oh, we're gonna throw you in
This is
jail.
my
That's-
first
We're
year
breaking
doing
the
it.
law.
Yeah, I mean, something we can work on, definitely.
Yeah, let's just look at that, you know, and work with the building and grounds committee is the perfect
Yeah.
venue for something like that, because you're getting a grasp on what we're dealing with here.
When I come back next month, when I've been here for 3 months,
Yeah.
we'll have that done.
Okay. So, we'll just go with that understanding then. Is that okay right now? Okay, thank you.
And by the way, there's no fault here. And I don't
No.
think you're yelling at people, I mean, there's
No.
no, it's just where we are. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
acknowledge just where we are, we're gonna grow. This is perfect.
And we're gonna do it together.
Yep.
That's what we're gonna do. You know, there's no divisions anymore. That gets you nowhere but into destruction. We have to move this forward together.
I have 2 reminders for you. The next, board meeting was scheduled for October 15th. We moved that as a group, you moved it to October 22nd. The reason for that is the state finalizes the valuation on October 15th. And Carrie is a genius, but she can't turn around from 3 PM on October 15th to a 6 PM board meeting on October 15th.
Sure she can.
So,
We
she
wouldn't
might
have it
be-
posted though, it would have to be properly posted.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So we moved it to October 22nd, so let's just make sure everybody has that in their calendars. And then the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting is scheduled for October 1st, and then again, that's a great area where we can talk about the buildings and grounds.
Yeah.
And
All
we're
right.
gonna have that posted also.
Thank you. And do you, in addition, have a
And
superintendent
I have
report?
talked way too much today, so I'm done with my report.
Okay. All right. But I know someone who might have something to say.
I might
Oh,
have
you
a few
might.
things. We're, awesome start to the school year, 2 weeks in. I think everyone's starting to kind of get comfortable with things. And it's been great. I divide my time amongst elementary and intermediate, and I'm kind of getting down to a routine with that. I think it was a lot of getting to know things here at the elementary, since I wasn't at the elementary last year, I was mainly at intermediate.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's going well. Thank goodness for, Mrs. Faust and Mrs. Spudich, since they are the front people in the office, and they've been wonderful just with that whole transition. And one exciting thing we have coming up is going to, as a whole district, K-5 through 8th grade, going to the Hartford homecoming parade on October 3rd. So all the kids are gonna go there in the afternoon, and kind of support the high school where they feed it to. And, yeah, and our band will be playing and performing in the Christmas parade, which I helped Mr. Schneider, sign up for that this week too, so. He's already playing Christmas songs, so when you walk down the halls at
Oh, boy.
intermediate, we're hearing some Christmas songs, which, yeah, you think it's too early, but, yeah, and that's November 8th. And then, yeah, looking like the chili cook-off is gonna be November 9th, which more information will be coming out on that.
Board have any questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any further further announcements, events? I see it's on the agenda, so I will ask. Not so. All right, I make a motion then that we move into adjourn this here right now and go into closed executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Where are we meeting tonight?
In the conference room.
Trying to get routine.
Love routine.